I'm your host, Joe Carter. Today, we are talking about franchise systems, but not the kind that look good on paper, the kind that actually works. Because a lot of franchise brands are out there, but very few are built with systems that produce consistent results across operators, markets, and time. Revenue is a byproduct, but value is the objective, and value is created when your system performs without constant founder involvement. And today I'm joined by Art Coley, the CEO of CGI Franchise. Art, welcome to the show.
Joe, glad to be here. Thank you for having me on. I've listened to a number of your episodes. Always good content, good meat. Anybody that's in franchising and believes this is their future and for their career and wants to improve professionally should have your podcast in their library and making it a regular event to listen to, because it's you cut through a lot of the stuff and get to the heart of a lot of core issues that keep a lot of brands from the topic that we're talking about today: scaling, fulfilling the vision, making things better for their franchisees, offering returns for the shareholders and investors who have put their faith and belief in that system on the franchisor side. So keep doing it, Joe. Truth tellers about the industry, seriously. Truth tellers about what's going on. Franchising is a great thing, and we need people out there, evangelists, right? That are spreading the good word about how franchising can help give people a better chance to win and be successful as small business owners. Thank you, Joe, for having me on.
Freaking amazing. Thank you, Art. That was like the best testimony ever. I think I might even use that if you don't mind. But yeah, that hit the heart.
This is personal for me. This is personal for me, what we do in franchising. This isn't about a spreadsheet or just increasing EBITDA. Those are some of the things we do along the way. But franchising is about human beings and about lives, and in giving people a chance to do something extraordinary that they thought they wouldn't be able to do it. It's very personal for me, Joe.
Same here, and we are simpatico. Like this is great. I'm now even more excited about this episode than I was 5 minutes ago, so I can't wait. Let's jump right into it, like kind of the origin story, if you will. Give us a quick overview of your background and how you got into building franchise systems.
It started out with my family when we opened up a little burger stand in Temple, Texas. I was 15 years. I was age 15. It was 1985. And, we thought we had McDonald's right where we wanted them with our little north side Temple, Texas burger stand called the French Quarter Cafe. And then we got into learning why systems and checklists and things like that become very important. You mentioned something earlier in the opening about owners and being able, if you can't leave your business, what's that ultimate test? We've heard something that if you can't leave your business for a month or two and come back and the business is actually better than when you left, then you might need to take a second look at really, are you a business owner or are you self-employed? And so that's where I got that real wake-up call very early on in my life about the power of systems, process, and tools to make things repeatable, scalable, predictable. Fast forward, going off to college at the University of Houston. Later on, I was in my early 20s. I was a freelance writer in Houston, Texas for a business magazine, and I got an opportunity to interview a gentleman named Bud Hatfield. Bud had founded a company called Quick Copy Printing, Quick, K-W-I-K-K-O-P-Y, in the 60s, and he had written a book called Wealth Within Reach. Now remember, this is the early 90s now, so we're 38 years or so since he founded the company. At this time, the company had over 2,000 franchisees in 24 countries. And Bud had a 160-acre complex in Northwest Houston. I got the assignment to go interview him for his book. We had a 30-minute scheduled interview. I ended up talking for 2.5 hours, Joe. And within 90 days, I was working for him. And that's how at the age 23, I got into franchising. And I knew that the student had found the teacher. Bud was in his late 70s at that time, and I just knew I had come across the person that no matter what, I was going to go work for this guy and learn about small business and small business through franchising. That led to me working with Bud and ended up heading up his franchise development for all 7 brands for the company later called ICED. That was the holding company. Actually, one of the first platform brands before we even called them platform brands. Bud was doing that very early on. In fact, the Dwyer Group at the time came and visited Bud about this piece, and people know Dwyer Group is Neighborly today, but their whole movement with Don Dwyer there earlier and then Dina Dwyer around developing a platform brand, they came to Cypress, Texas to visit Bud to see what he was doing. So he was a very early innovator in this idea of one company sharing resources. We don't need 10 legal departments and accounting departments. We can share those resources and help the franchisor and the franchisees in a bigger way through even scaling the role of a franchisor across multiple brands. Worked for Bud for a number of years. Left there in 2007, Joe, to go take a chief development officer position with Alpha Graphics, which was based in Salt Lake City at that time. Fast forward a few years later, the company was acquired by private equity. I was put in place of CEO. We sold that business in 2014 to a publicly traded company. I stepped down from the seat of CEO and relocated back to Temple, Texas, where my wife and I were in high school together. This is our hometown, where I'm in my office in downtown Temple right now. And we had this little idea that maybe we could take what I've been doing for, almost 30 years in helping brands scale and grow and create a little business and a little concept called ROS. And fast forward 10 years since we started that, Joe, and we have 15 franchise companies under contract with us today that the whole focus is around scaling. How do they scale development really so that they can scale the overall brand and fulfill their vision? Is that okay, Joe? Or is there any area I need to go into more? I hope I didn't go too far.
I'm so glad this is being recorded because I got to go back and watch this and take some notes. But that was an amazing origin story. And we got some parallels. I grew up in Houston. Cypress, Texas is not far away from the high school I graduated from. Temple, Texas, I used to visit there about every 3 weeks because the company I worked for at the time was Technical Convenience Stores corporate offices there. So we got some cross parallels fairly
Joe,
often.
I'll tell you what, we might be related if we keep going.
We could be. Brothers from another mother is all right. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. What, from your perspective, you got a ton of experience, a ton of brands that you've been involved with, either directly or indirectly. What separates a franchise system that actually works from one that's struggling?
Yeah, great question. I think the first thing, Joe, is that it starts with the ownership and the executives, the management team. A lot of times that's the same people, especially early on. Realizing the day that you decide to become a franchisor, you're in a different business. I see a lot of franchise companies that might philosophically think they get that. Okay, it makes sense now. I'm no longer in the printing business, or I'm no longer in the property management business, or I'm no longer in the automotive repair business. I'm now in the business of helping people become successful in a small business. It just happens to be in that industry. I think everybody kind of gets that and can say, yeah, that makes sense. But I have found it usually takes about 5 or 10 years and maybe the loss of a few $1 million before you really understand this is a different business. And when you really get a hold of that, Joe, and you realize that, all that stuff that I know over there about running an automotive repair shop or running a home healthcare business doesn't mean diddly in terms of being a winning, successful franchisor. And the data supports all this, Joe. Depending on the source, there's some debate on the numbers, but they're all pretty bad. Most sources that we reference and that we believe show that less than 2% of all franchise companies will ever get to 100 open units, and significantly less than 1%, massively, just a tiny few basis points of 1% will ever cross the milestone of 200 open units. It's rare air. And yet, I've never talked to a founder or the startup franchise company that said, Joe, we want to work 10, 20 years and we want to work hard and we want to spend a lot of money. And we're just hoping maybe we can reach that, fulfill our vision with 50 units. Nobody ever says that. It's always something like hundreds, maybe 1,000 plus units out there. But, if you just pay attention to the data and how rare it is, that's why, Joe, and I know I'm going on a little long about it, that is the first thing that I see is the people that fully understand franchising is a different business, and you better get humble, and you better have some expertise on your management team, and you better have an advisory board or some kind of group that's going to tell you the truth about what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and what's required. Because I see a lot of franchisors, even when they go to the conferences and they go to IFA and they read the books, they're playing too much like a founder and believing, okay, I hear all this, but I'm going to do it a different way. I'm gonna beat that fraction of a 1% that ever make it to 200 units because I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to figure it out, and I just haven't seen anybody do that, Joe. In my 30 years in this business, I haven't seen that work. At the end of the day, you either get humble and truth, self-awareness, you get naked in front of the mirror and say, hey man, I need some help doing this. This is a different business. Or you don't, and you pay the stupid tax over and over and over again, and then you never ever fulfill the vision. And the problem with that in franchising is that you had other people that were on the train with you that paid to get on there and took out loans. If they're all company-owned stores, have at it. But when you let your ego and pride get in the way about really what it takes to be a successful franchisor, you've got people on the train with them that you're taking down with you. And I see a lot of it, Joe. I see a lot of franchise companies that ego, pride, all of those things get in the way, or some franchisor thinking they're all knowing, when oftentimes a lot of the answers are out there with your franchisees who want to help and build the system and help it scale. But you as the franchisor may think, this kind of parent-child relationship, which is insanity.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's a business partner.
Yeah, it's insanity. If you're operating your franchise, thinking that you're the parent and your franchisees are the child, and sometimes it's unintentional and it's subtle and it's maybe not as a reality. You're not seeing it. It can be just so hidden and sublime in terms of how you operate. But if that's anywhere in your DNA showing up as how you're operating as a franchisor, get out of that mode real fast, because you're on your way to stage 4 cancer and you are not going to fulfill your vision as a franchisor.
Preach it. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I call it the celebrity founder syndrome. That's my personal mentality or just structure that I use to say this. If you're a founder of a franchisor system and you are making a sale to a customer, not a franchisor, you are completely misguided in reference to how you're spending your time, effort, and energy, because that should be somebody else's job now. You should hand that off, and your goal should be making your business partner, your franchisees, successful through leadership, development, mentorship, walking the walk with them, whatever it may be. So keep preaching, keep going, man.
Well, that was the philosophical side of it. I know, there's a whole list of things that write about once you do that and how you scale and build your systems. And I think, Joe, really the next one that falls under that category of brands not scaling, or the ones that do, especially today with all the power that we have with analytics and information, is that they're running their business too emotionally, and so-called kind of guardrail to guardrail, than really paying attention to the data and the analytics and what's working and what's not working, and allowing themselves to be guided more by that versus shooting from the hip.
Well, yeah, leverage data to help have informed and strategic decisions. I couldn't agree with that more. You said a couple of times a system that works, and obviously there's something that works and there's something that breaks. So what are those kind of systemizations, if you will, that produces consistent results at a franchise world?
Boy, we get that question in different versions with brands. That my team was talking, earlier today, we were talking about how many franchise companies have we talked to that called us up just so far this year, January, February, March through April. And over those 4 months, I personally have gotten on calls with about 50 different franchise companies. Now, we have 15 franchise companies under contract with us, or 15 brands that we work with, 15 different brands. because there's a couple platforms in there that have multiple brands. And one of the things that we get on those calls, Joe, is this very question. People are saying, what do you learn? How do you do it? And here's some real simple ones. I mean, just some things that are some low-hanging fruit. Brands that scale understand what business they're in, and they understand their value proposition. Let's start with, first of all, to the consumer. Whether it's a B2B concept or a B2C concept, they have a clear understanding of where their value proposition is in the marketplace. Christian Brothers Automotive, one of our brand partners, they understand their value proposition, which means you're not trying to be an automotive repair company for every person in the United States of America. You know what your value proposition. If somebody's worried about just the cheapest route to getting their car repaired, they're not a Christian Brothers Automotive client. Key Renter Property Management is another franchise company that is one of our clients and we call them brand partners. Key Renter Property Management, their value proposition is to the property owner out there that may have only one or two properties. I mean, sure, you can have 10 and 20 properties, they can manage them too, but they don't do commercial, they don't do Airbnb, they don't do short-term rentals, they do single family home rentals. That's what their core business is. And now today, when they started working with us, they had 27 offices in 2019. Today they have about 105, 110. They'll be at 120 open offices by the end of the year, by the end of 2026. So they're scaling. And we love brands that already show up to us with discipline around not trying to be everything to everybody, because we know when you're trying to be everything to everybody, you're nothing to nobody. And that's probably bad grammar, I know, but Central Texas grammar there, it works in this area. So Joe, that they're very clear on their value proposition to the consumer. They're also very clear on their value proposition to a franchisee. They understand what is it that we provide to a candidate that comes to explore our brand. I was out at Casa Home Healthcare doing a workshop with them in Sacramento here just a few days ago. And it was their first annual conference, Joe. Now, the same week I had been at Christian Brothers Automotive Conference where there were close to 2,000 people, almost $1 billion brand. And then I got on a plane and flew to Sacramento to do this workshop with Casa, Daniel Wong and his team out there. They've got 10 franchisees, 14 locations. I mean, it was their first conference. And I love my Christian Brothers Automotive people, but man, a startup brand at their first conference is pretty darn special. That's pretty special. But what's amazing is it's the same stuff. Doesn't matter whether it's I think Christian Brothers Automotive is the 95th or 96th largest franchise brand system on the Franchise Times list. Acasa's working their way on to, trying to get in maybe at the top 1,000. So not even in their radar right now. They're just excited about getting these offices going and having things work for them. But it's still the same stuff. What's your value proposition to the consumer? What's your value proposition to the franchisee that comes into you? Because that's going to determine who you're looking for. Your value proposition is going to decide, and you can have, there are a lot of home healthcare franchise options, and the value proposition that they all offer is different.
True.
It's different. So figuring out that lane is very critical. You need to know what your levers of success are going to be. And for Key Renter needs to know Key Renter has a vision to be $1 billion brand and have the wealthiest franchisees. And this is from their ownership, their CEO, Nate Tu. He just announced this publicly on a recent podcast that Key Renter is going to be $1 billion brand. This year, they'll do about $45 million in system-wide sales. So that's a pretty big multiple and pretty bold statement. But they've got a plan to do that, and we're helping them do that piece. And we know the odds aren't stacked in our favor. A lot of people probably think we're crazy, or they're crazy for saying it and thinking that we can get there, but they have a plan to get there. Now, all of this execution and implementation of that plan. But knowing, Joe, a lot of times we get trapped and thought about thinking that there's 1,000 things that are going to be the difference in us being there. And there may be 1,000 components, and I'm not saying that they're unimportant, but they're all not equally important. Usually, fulfilling your vision and scaling a brand comes down to 2 or 3 or 4, maybe 4 or 5 key levers. Collins talked about it in his old book. This is going to age me, the Good to Great book. That it's.
I love that book.
Okay, but I mean, it's still so practical. You got
it's back here. Keep going. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, Joe. But Collins really called out about these. It's just a few, 1, 2, maybe 3 things that are really going to be the difference in terms of you scaling. So understanding those levers, Joe, and then also another one just to put along here is, and this is kind of where that honesty and self-assessment, understanding the constraints. Another book that's going to age me, The Goal, a manufacturing book about process and workflow. Eldred, I think, was the author on this, but the maybe came out in the 80s or early 90s. But it was a story, one of those early kind of fables and, the business books that tell a story. Franchisors I think we all would do better if we thought about ourselves a little bit more like a manufacturing company. We don't have a physical widget, so we sometimes think all this stuff is just kind of loose and it runs all together. It's not. I mean, we look for a franchisee. There's an onboarding process. We get them open. We're trying to get to certain unit economics. All that throughput leads to an outcome or an output, right? And we're trying to get our locations up to an average of $500,000 in annual value, or $3 million, or generating X number of dollars. There's cruising altitude. And if we think about ourselves and our brands, this is what we do with the brands that we work with, is let's get honest about the constraints. Is it our management team? Is it money? Oftentimes that's way overestimated, that the problem is money. But is the constraint our ability to do real estate and get new locations open? Is it our real estate to find talent? Is there some constraint that involves technology? We have to identify the constraints, rank those from what's the top constraint. Let's go to work on it. We'll get to 10 and 15 later, but we're ranking them in terms of their importance and their degree of constraining the system to scale. It's hard. It's easier said doing that than it is actually doing it, because it means you've got to tackle. If you follow that practice, you have to tackle the truth. You have to tackle if the constraint is we've got some executives in the seats that aren't going to be the right force. You got to face it. If the constraint is that we're in the founder trap, that's a big one in franchising. We're in the founder trap.
Yes,
You've got
a
founder. And it's such a tough thing. The founder got you to where you are, but the founder may be the reason it's being held back from going to the next level. Boy, those aren't easy constraints.
No, they're not.
I've got a lot of gray hairs right here in this beard, Joe, from having to work through founder constraints. That's big time. So if you've got a founder not really willing to accept where they are on the bus, you probably are dead on arrival.
Agreed. Let's touch on that one, because I love that one. Founder dependency, in my opinion, is one of the big differentiating factors between a great franchise and an okay one.
Agreed.
How do you work with a founder to help reduce that founder dependency on the entire system? What's that process look like?
Well, a lot of times we deal with that regularly, because most franchisors, the founders are coming. Most franchise systems out there today are in the 20 to 50 unit range. Some might be royalty self-sufficient, most aren't. Most, they think they've got value proposition and ideal candidate. A lot of times they get to us and just the opportunity to confess that maybe some things aren't working as well as they thought they were going to work. When you talked about earlier, when we said a lot of the brands that come to us are 5 years or more down the road, they've burned through millions of dollars. The franchisees that they do have, they don't even like, and they've got bad relationships with. So,
yeah.
It's just not working. So sometimes we get the benefit of just people that are ready to accept, which there's a reason why the basis for any pathway to recovery, you think of 12-step programs, but any kind of recovery, any kind of, I want to lose a little weight, I want to get a little healthier, I want to be a better dad, I want to be a better husband, I want to be a better employer, I want to be a better franchisee or franchisor. Every path to improvement starts with admitting there's a problem and that I need some help. Every path to growth, every path to improvement starts with some level of acceptance, admitting, and some level of vulnerability and being able to just admit, I need some help. Now, we don't have a secret formula, Joe, for getting founders to that spot. The founders that we work with ultimately have done that themselves. It's been very encouraging for me in growing ROS because we have now 12 people on our team. We have an analytics team. We have an onboarding team for our brands. We have a team for doing executive coaching. We even have a team for our brands that need a little bit of outsourcing. We're not an FSO. We're not a broker group. We're not a marketing company. But we have a team that will come in and help our brands. You know, if they all of a sudden lose their chief development officer, if they lose a recruiter, if they lose an appointment setter or a coordinator, we can come in and help with that a little bit here and there, so that nothing gets missed as they're trying to scale and can grow their system. Help with that. We call it ROS recruitment rhythm. But those founders, Joe, getting there, really it's an inside job. All we can do is help them see things, which I think we do a pretty good job of. We can help a founder understand and see that maybe a portion of where they are is back to them. And then what they do with that information and where they go with it, that's an inside job. They got to take care of that themselves. And the ones that do a better job with it, the results are better. The ones that maybe still practice a little avoidance, escapement, denial, the results aren't as good.
Totally agree. I've seen a few shifts personally in trends in the franchise space over the last few years. I'd love to hear your take on them and see if I'm in the right zone here. But I'm seeing it's always been kind of the corporate refugee is always almost one of the top personas of a potential franchisee. But I'm seeing a sudden influx of individuals where I call it the AI boom. AI is taking over jobs, and people either have already lost it or in the process of being downsized and are now navigating into franchising space. Have you seen that as well? And if so, how does a franchisor take advantage of it?
In my generation, through franchise development, we go back, Joe, and we look at franchise development for us used to be stick an ad in the Wall Street Journal, wait for the phone to ring, and then you control the process. And then this little thing started coming onto the scene with this thing called websites and the internet. And we started to lose a little control. Wait a minute. Now people can start to search and do things. And I don't get to be the all-knowing salesperson that decides what information they get when we send out the hard copy of an FDD, right? I mean, now they can go on and find it themselves out there before they even talk to me. We went to that. Then we started seeing things of brokers coming onto the scene and the whole impact of franchise brokers. I'm just thinking of some milestones along the way. I don't know if any of those are going to match the impact of AI. And those are some pretty big ones. Even the involvement and evolution of an item 19. If you're a brand without an item 19, even if you're a startup, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care, if somebody's giving you a reason why you shouldn't have one. I love this reason. We don't have an item 19 because our unit economics aren't very good. Right. Think about it.
That's a problem.
Somebody told them, don't do an item 19 because your unit economics. And what we tell them is no, do an item 19. And let's break it out. I bet you have some franchisees that are being successful in your system. Use the item 19 to show the truth and let's bifurcate and discuss the differences between our franchisees that are following the program and using it. And the truth is, if they're all doing bad, stop doing development and focus on your business model and get it right. You shouldn't be trying to sell something that's a bad business model. Now we put ourselves over in the category of the used car sales guy trying to sell pretty the car all up and making it run well to know that when they get off the lot, it's probably transmission's going to drop out a few miles down the road. That is not what franchising is. Never has been, was never intended. That was the purpose of disclosure. That's the reason for the FDD and being regulated by the FTC. Anybody that thinks that's bad, that is wrong. That is wrong thinking. The FTC and the FDD is the greatest thing that ever happened to franchise because it keeps us honest. It keeps us honest, and it creates consequences because the business isn't successful around selling and getting a signed franchise agreement. Franchising is about helping people to become successful business owners. So if you can't talk the truth and speak to really what's happening in your Item 19 and disclosure documents, then stop franchising, go fix it, and then come back into it, or just do what you should be doing. If you're trying to sell something that doesn't work, then go open company-owned stores. But you won't do it because you don't believe in the business model.
Bingo.
Yeah. Bingo. So back to AI, Joe, and your question. I'm not for sure if any of these things, the Item 19 expansion, the internet, business brokers, franchise brokers, and that whole lead source. We're talking AI. In our opinion, and how we look at it as ROS, if you're mad about it being here, you probably are in a bad spot today. If you're embracing it and grateful for it, then you're probably in a better spot. It's kind of the glass is half empty or half full. It's just how your perspective, what your perspective is on AI. It's a tool. I mean, Joe, it's another tool, and it's going to have it's having a huge impact. It already is on what we do. If we had a brand in here, a very large brand in Temple, in our meeting area right outside of my office area, and their team was in there. Their assistant to the CEO, their chief development officer, their VP of development, their recruiters, their appointment setters, and we were working through sessions on the ideal candidate. And there was all this debate and everything. And I said, guys, I just texted. When we have a group come in, we always create a WhatsApp group, little channel, message group. So I just said, I just texted you something. Would you guys all take a look at that? And what I had done, Joe, is I went to my AI assistant and I said, my name is Art, and I'm thinking about getting in this industry, and I named the industry. And I'm wondering, what's a good profile to be in this industry? What am I looking for? What's a good franchisee to be in this? I mean, of course, in a fraction of a second, AI gives me back, a whole outline. So I just hit on my chat GPT, I copy, posted it in the WhatsApp group, and sent it. I said, okay, guys, after all this discussion, everybody take 5 minutes, read that, and mark down what stands out to you the most. They took 3, 4, 5 minutes. We came back. Every one of them said, wow. In seconds, they had a better ideal candidate profile, Joe, than anything that they've been putting in. They've been philosophizing all this, people arguing about it. Everybody's like, yeah, that AI just nailed it in seconds. So I said, let me ask you something. You're fumbling over what you're telling a candidate. And this is a top 100 franchise brand that was in the room with this. This is not some startup emerging brand. People with phenomenal resources. And they got this, and I said, you're fumbling around wondering what the answer to the question is, debating this, and in seconds somebody already has it. But they're moving on. By the time they're talking, they realize you don't even know who you're looking for. And by the way, when we did that, I asked them, I said, based on what you're reading, does your messaging and positioning to the broker community out there online on your franchise development website, you already said you agreed with what AI just told you. It got very detailed, very detailed. I said, does your messaging and positioning line up with that? No, it does not. Do our scripts and our discovery process line up with helping people discover this is who we're looking for, so they're evaluating themselves? No, it doesn't. Time and time again, right? So that's just one small example, Joe, of where now they took that message back. They went back, and since then, they got with their marketing department. They changed their scripts. They've changed the tools that they use in their brand presentation to talk about that, again, not doing anything to anybody, the candidate, but having better conversations with candidates. If you don't look something like close to this, probably we should close the file. This particular, maybe there's a franchise that's
right.
So AI, Joe, is something that is absolutely, it's just a tool, and but it can work on everything from analytics to your lead gen to your appointment setting to how you're onboarding your new franchisees. We don't believe it's going to replace the human. That component, trust and interhuman dynamics are not something that AI is there yet with that. Maybe it gets there someday. I don't think I'm going to see it in my lifetime to that level. There's so many dynamics involved, especially in the development process and selecting franchisees and helping people grow a small business, that I just don't see AI getting there with all of that soon enough, at least in my lifetime. Maybe it will, and maybe I could be wrong. And if I am wrong, we're staying on top of it. We're going to evolve and grow with it. So we're just constantly watching it. But you better be embracing it. It's not going away.
Totally agree. I have to ask an off-the-cuff question. This is getting so detail-oriented, and I'm very confident the audience is loving what they're hearing from me. Would you be open to like a part 2 of this type of podcast so we can dive even further deep?
Joe, I'll tell you, man, I'm a geek for this stuff. I love franchising. I love small business ownership through franchising. I've personally seen it change so many people's lives. And I mean,
agreed.
Financially, quality of life, change the family tree for generations to come. So if Joe, if I'd be honored to have a part 2, anytime, in any way, you absolutely would love to get that.
I love that, because there's just so much to the franchising space. It's hard to get all of it in there in 30, 45 minutes. It's impossible, right? So to be able to have,
I went too long and too deep on some of this.
No, you're good.
You can tell me on part 2, but I need to shut up and be a little bit more brief.
No, you're preaching, and I'm learning, and I've been doing this for 17 years, but I'm sitting here absorbing stuff going, yep. I'm going to go back and listen to this, get the transcript, and make myself a homework assignment as a result of this. Like, it's been phenomenal. But I know that you also are running an organization that is helping 15 clients. You're potentially onboarding as many as 50 in a 4-month timeline to be able to get to that 15. So if we have an audience member out there that is like, I'm a brand, I need help, this sounds like the guy that can help me, how do they reach out to Art and your team?
CGIFranchise.com is our website. On our website is my personal email. I even have my personal cell phone, area code 281-658-9409, 281-658-9409. You can text me right now, Joe. Somebody could text me right now and just say, hey, Art, heard the podcast. Just wanted to have a conversation with you about where we are on our journey. That's all we do. Like I just mentioned, Joe, we talked to 50 brands in the last 4 months. Mm-hmm. We know when we talk to them, very few are going to end up being the fit for us, where it's going to make sense.
Sure.
But we so many people have helped me along the way. We just feel like it's part of our calling and mission to talk to these franchise companies. And if we can offer a nugget of help or to point them a little bit in the right direction, mission accomplished. So absolutely, Joe, all that information is at CGIFranchise.com, and would love to welcome anybody that reaches out. We always schedule a call and talk to them. There's no strings attached, no obligation, nothing. Just have a conversation about their brand, where they are, what they're having trouble with, or what they're trying to improve. And maybe or maybe not, we can help, but usually out of that, there's some good outcomes and direction.
This was not just strong, this is freaking phenomenal. I appreciate you for sharing your expertise, your wisdom, your guidance, your experience, like the whole thing. I can't wait for part 2. We're getting this on the calendar in the near future, everybody. So take a look for part 2, because Art's got some more wisdom and more preaching to do about the franchise space. So stay tuned in reference to that. Art, thank you for being on, sir. I really do appreciate it. Of course, for everybody out there that's listening, here's my takeaway. Number 1, Art knows his stuff. I wanted to say something different. But biggest takeaway was franchise systems don't scale just because they exist. They scale because they work. That was the terminology that Art used, and I couldn't agree with it more. If your system does not produce consistent outcomes, it's not a system. It's guesswork. So stop guessing. Create systems that create the outcomes that you're looking for. If you're serious about building a scalable, sellable franchise model, please reach out to Art and his team. Scroll down into the commentary. We'll ensure that we have all the links so that you can reach out to him and his team. Again, no cost, no obligation, so you can see if he can help you achieve your goals. Until next time, I'm Joe Carter. This has been the Franchise Growth Show. Have a great day, everybody, and get out there and build a legacy that lasts. Have a good one. Bye. Thanks, guys.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough,